before we even start, if anybody saw you prior to this makeover, they would be like, who is this?
You know, comb my hair, get ready. You know, this is a very important podcast.
You're like,
you know,
you're ready for the public
I'm ready to do it,
see
man.
you.
Yeah,
All right.
man.
So, so I'm going to do my little intro and then we'll start. So,
Sure.
hi everyone. My name is Ben. I'm the creator of the Beanie Sleeper, the head wrap with a built-in sleep mask that blocks light and keeps your head warm and comfy without overheating. I just want to show you, this is the built-in sleep mask. Anyway, welcome to Sleeping with Ben, where I talk to interesting people about what's going on with their lives. But before we start, I have just some quick info. I am proud to report that as of today, we have sold and or donated nearly 300 Beanie Sleepers, with the majority of them going to people who are going through chemo treatments. So I'm just really glad that Beanie Sleeper can help play a small part in somebody's life through a very difficult time. So now on to the show. So my guest is Jed, and he's like Madonna. We just say Jed. Madonna, Cher, Jed. Who else? Like, who's the purple cow? I don't know.
Prince.
Barney.
Yeah, Barney. Sure.
Prince. You are all of those people.
Oh,
so, Jed. Anyway, Jed, man, give a little intro. Who you are. I know you have 4 kids. You may want to say 4 kids. Stuff like that. Who you are, and then we'll start. So go for it. Who are you?
So my name's Jed. I'm an entrepreneur and a father and a husband. As you said, I have 4 beautiful girls and a beautiful wife. So I'm surrounded by women in this house.
I think that's a different podcast, right? That'll be for another podcast.
Maybe. I have a real love for music and punk rock. When I was young, was in a punk rock band called Treason, where I played drums when I was young.
We're gonna get to all that.
Oh, okay.
I just want people to know who you are.
All right, that's it. That's who I am.
Now, yeah, thank you so much. Okay. I was like, podcast over. No, anyway, all right. So I do want to talk about your punk rock days. How old were you when you got into punk rock? I mean, and was that a thing when you were growing up?
No. So I grew up in the Bronx, and there wasn't a lot of people into that kind of music in the Bronx. If anything, it's all hip hop and rap stuff. But I had some problems in high school with fitting in and whatnot. So I decided to go the total opposite direction. So I went into the most extreme opposite of rap and hip hop at that time. So yeah, it was tough during those years because there was not many other people in my neighborhood that liked that kind of thing. But eventually I made my way down to St. Mark's Place and Bleecker Street, and I met other people like me. Once I finally got on that 6 train and went to Manhattan, things changed.
Right. So was this in high school or junior high?
Yeah, it was in high school through college.
High school, so as a freshman? So pretty much when you're what, 13, 14, around there?
Yeah, that's when I started getting interested in that kind of music.
Interested. Did you do the full thing, like with the hair and the clothes, or was it just the music? It was the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, man.
So what was the craziest color you dyed your hair?
Oh, so many, I couldn't even, every color of the rainbow. I had 3 Mohawks, Tri-Hawks for a while, Liberty Spikes, and yeah, forget it. Every crazy combination you could think of. And the spike jacket and the whole 9.
I wish I had a picture of that to show people.
I could send you some.
Of course you could. Let me ask you this, though. So you started when you were, say, a freshman, sophomore in high school, but you joined a band. Did you join it or did you create it?
No, I met up with, again, a like-minded person, and we just kept recruiting until we got 4 people together that were able to do it. So yeah.
And this was high school still?
No, this is senior year of high school, first year of college, around that time.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, so we did that, you know what I mean? I had drums. I was in my mother's basement. She's a saint for putting up with my terrible drumming all those years, and the bandmates, screaming and whatnot. And yeah, we did that, and then, DIY stuff. We put out CDs. We started playing shows. We toured the East Coast a little bit. Yeah.
Wow. So good. This was legit. Legit. This wasn't just guys hanging out, having beers, and this was legit.
Yeah,
I got to tell you, though, I actually tried to learn the drums when I was a kid. really bad at it. But my parents didn't like the noise, so they got me one of those practice pads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's basically like something on nothing, because you can't hear squat. So that was the extent of my
there's
drumming.
something so much more powerful when you're hitting that snare and it's like popping. Oh yeah, that's
it was
just
at. Yeah. So yeah.
That's where it's at.
So CDs, touring. What was the name of the band?
Treason was the band name. We played at CBGB's, Coney Island High, all the great
Holy
places
moly.
before they all closed. You know, it
So,
was a good time.
So this was legit. You could have maybe taken this further into like bigger, whatever bigger is.
That was the plan. I mean, right when I left the band, they wanted to go do a West Coast tour, and I, you know, at that point, I met my wife and had a baby, so I changed my whole, you know, priorities.
Okay. So that leads us to where we're going next. So, yeah. So you met your wife, you had your first child, and you kind of had to say goodbye to the road, or goodbye to, I don't want to say childish things, but things you did in your youth to move into something else, because now you had a family.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
So,
you know,
I was just going to ask you, do you still play? Do you still like that kind of music, or is it kind of just in your past now?
Oh, I still love the music, but I don't play anymore because it's not really as much fun when you're by yourself. You know, it's something totally different when there's four guys and you're really doing it, you know.
Are any of your girls into punk rock? You
know, my parents weren't. No. You know what I mean? That's how it tends to be. They do the opposite of what you do. You know, so none of them are. Nope.
I gotcha. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when did the bike? I know you were a bike messenger in Manhattan, right?
Yeah, well, I wasn't a bike messenger. I was a courier, so just carrying the packages. I wasn't riding the bike.
Either way, insane. If anybody's ever been to Manhattan, you do not want to drive or ride a bike in the city. It's insane. I drove a car once in the city. That was the last time I ever drove a car. Mm-hmm. Crazy. So you were a courier in the city, and how long did you do that for?
I did that the whole time I was in the band. So that was a good, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. I even did it, you know, in the summer in high school. It was a great job. You walked the city. Okay. You met people. You know what I mean? It was fun. You know, especially being all punk rock and walking through the city. It was just a certain vibe. It was just fun. You know,
and it was accepted. It was accepted. Nobody even looked twice at you.
No, it was kind of
because
great. Mm-hmm.
That is really cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
So you went to college, and what did you get your degree in?
Well, I didn't. I went to Stony Brook.
Oh, okay.
I went to Stony Brook College, got further into the punk rock thing, did a semester, a little too much sex and drugs, dropped out. That was that. Yeah. You know, came back to the Bronx and kept doing the band thing.
Well, that's cool. But at some point, you learned how to code.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So I'm going to get into your misspent youth that I teased everybody with. Let me ask you this. So let's talk about that. So I asked you in our pre-interview, when did you learn to code, or when did you first start getting interested in computers? And you said you were 10, you had a Commodore 64, which is what I had. Mm-hmm. But I got mine, I was interested in games. You weren't interested in games, were you now, Jed?
No.
You were interested in something a little bit different.
Yeah,
Please share with us.
Yeah, I was interested in, you know, getting a high score in a game, but not by actually achieving the high score, but, you know, editing the game so that my score would be higher than my brother's. You know, so just through some snooping and figuring out that at that time, the high scores were just a text file, you know, and if you knew how to navigate and knew how to read a file and edit, you could give yourself the high scores. So my older brother and I would, you know, he's the one that taught me that. And that blew my mind, that you could edit a game and it's right there for you to change, you know. So that's what really brought me into computing was that.
I feel like the thing about it being a 10-year-old hacker, it's very kind of, you know, very Mission Impossible kind of stealthy. I mean, 10, man.
Looking back, it wasn't really much hacking. It was
it really wasn't, but at the time, man, but at the time, that would have been huge. Mm-hmm. You know, I would think, I bet none of your friends did that.
Oh, no.
That's my point. You were kind of like savant-like in your in your exploration. So that kind of started you on the path to computer software. But did you continue that, or did you just move on to other things and come back to software after the Courier thing?
Yeah, it was always kind of like this thing that I was always into, and I never knew where it was going to go or what was going to happen with it. But I always maintained a love for computing and started to even build software before it was even to get paid. You know what I mean? I would write software to like pull the lyrics from songs off the internet, or control the TV. I was always into like movie management on the TV, so I wrote apps for that for no payment, just because I liked it and it was fun for me.
That's amazing.
And I was just lucky that love.
But where did you learn to code? I mean, did you teach yourself?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So even the current software you've written was basically all self-learned?
Yes, sir.
Dude, let me just say this. Mad props for that. I tried to learn Ruby because my last company was programming language was Ruby on Rails. So I tried to learn it. I could not. I don't have the patience for that. But you taught yourself. Now, you taught yourself before, I would think. When I was learning, there were online classes that you could do. Were there online classes for you?
No, not back then. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I had, but what you said was right. It's really persistence. You know what I mean? It's not so much. It's just you just got to sit there and keep trying things and.
Yeah, and it just wasn't love for me because I do think anytime you're going to put that much effort into something, you kind of need to love it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's amazing. I didn't realize you were self-taught. That's really cool. So, you have a baby, you have a wife, you have a baby. You give up the punk rock. Courier. You might still be doing that, but you got a job at a school.
Yes.
That's pretty much
so
you got it. You have a job. So you have a job at a school now. You're the dad. You're the respectable father and husband, bringing home the bacon. Now you're working at a school. So, but you don't just work there. You have to bring in your software skills. And you kind of have to do a little shade because you want to do some stuff.
Sure.
I know. So talk to me about the software you created for the school. And just so you guys know, they loved it. They loved it. This became kind of where you're headed in your business. So talk to us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, well, I was super fortunate. My sister was working in the school at the time, Lehman High School in the Bronx. And at the time, the principal, Robert Leader, who passed away about a year ago, great guy. I walked in there totally punked out, mohawk. I remember I wore a baseball cap because I didn't want him to see the mohawk, and I was going for an interview. And he hired me, looking the way I did. And I was so shocked that I was given the chance by this guy. And he kept telling me to take off my hat. And as I'm walking out, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take it off. But I didn't want to take it off. I didn't want to see. So when I got the job, it was a good $4 an hour raise from what I had as a courier. I shaved my head, and I started work. And then while I was there, my sister knew that I had some talent around the computing thing. And that's kind of how she sold me to the principal, because they had issues with scheduling the kids in the school. So, everything was pen and paper back then. A student would say, I want to drop science and add math. And then my sister would have this pile of papers that she had to go through and make all these changes. So while I was working for her, going through these stacks of paper, I decided to write software to help us do that. So instead of me doing all that work, the counselors would use my software and make the program changes on their own, which was revolutionary at the time. There wasn't a lot of, SISs and things like that weren't doing that.
What is SIS?
SIS is a student information system. Gotcha. So like now they got
what year is this? Are we into like 2012? Where are we at?
Yeah, I mean that's I'm not really great with the timeline, but yeah, that sounds about right. Maybe
I was going to say
2010, 2009.
It sounds like there weren't a lot of. It sounds like you'd have to do a lot of scraping, right?
Yes.
that was a thing. But that was a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you did in order to. Well, now you don't have to do that, but okay. So you have these mad skills. You're creating this software. You give it to the principal and the school, and what was their reaction?
Well, he's, again, the principal's the best because here I am, this punk kid, young, and I wrote this software, and I have no programming experience. And he let us start a school year using it with every counselor and every student in the school, which is huge. Who
Wow.
gives, right? Who gives someone that opportunity, you know?
That's amazing.
And he let me, and it was buggy, and I fixed the bugs, and I kept working on it and working on it. And, you know, we got all the bugs out, and yeah, then the software became like a part of the school. It was, you know.
That's incredible. Was it at any other school by this time, or did
Nope.
that happen later?
Yeah, it was
So
just
it was all
in
of this
school.
school.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So, but when did you transfer into a teaching position? How long after the software came out because I can't remember if you said you asked him or he asked you to teach, and then that puts you on a little bit different track?
Yeah, I mean, once the software started to take off and the principal started to realize the benefits of the software, I guess he felt bad that I was a school aide getting low pay and giving the school so much, you know? So he encouraged me to go from a school aide to a paraprofessional, a few bucks more, and then to go to night school to get my extra credits to become a teacher. So it was all him. You know what I mean? I didn't have that kind of drive, but he was, you know, he saw value in me that, you know, and I'm eternally grateful to him.
My experience with mentors is that they really want to help.
Yeah.
They really do. And they do it for no other reason than they can.
Right.
I'm so lucky. I have a few mentors that are just like that, and I treasure them.
Yeah.
And I can't say enough. Actually, next week, Ross Miller is going to be my guest next week. He is one of my mentors. I am so excited because I can't heap enough praise on mentors.
Yeah.
People like your principal who really go above and beyond for nothing else than to do it and to help.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The
guy changed my whole life. Without him, I might have still been drinking Guinness and being a courier. You know what I mean? In the Bronx. So yeah, he changed my whole life, without a doubt.
Yeah, I can see that. And I think if anybody, even if they were to leave our talk right now with anything, they could leave the fact that these people exist. No matter if you're an entrepreneur or any phase of your life, there are people out there who know a lot who want to help.
Yeah.
And I think that gives me a really good feeling to know that I'm not alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Opportunity.
So
they give you opportunity.
100%. So I know we took a little detour there, but I felt it was really important to talk about that because you and I are so on the same page with that.
Yep.
So we got that. Now you're teaching. At some point, I'm trying to remember, this is not SyncGrade yet, which is your current company. This is the pupil
path and scheduler. Yeah. So scheduler was the teacher side and pupil path was the student
So this
side.
this was your first company.
Yeah.
Right. So, so talk just a bit about that. You were still working at this point, right?
Yeah. So I was still a teacher at the time. The principal retired, and a new principal came in, and she was the worst. She was adversarial.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, she really. So I did a year with her, and I knew it was time to go. You know, my mentor was gone. The climate of the school was changing. Everything was different. And I met up with two other guys who were in the similar mindset where they wanted to leave the Department of Ed and start a business. One of them was a real jerk off. The other guy's great. We got into business together. You know, partnership, the three of us. And yeah, we started Datacation, which was the software the company that had the software that I brought on board.
And I remember you telling me that it was kind of an unfair partnership in a sense, where you kind of didn't really get your fair share. And that happens to a lot of new entrepreneurs.
Sure.
We tend to think, and this happened to me, oh my God, this happened to me, and this was a big lesson about who to listen to, who not to listen to, when to ask for advice, and that kind of a thing. So you got taken a little bit of advantage of.
Sure. So, you know, the way I think about it is that, you know, the deal was a good deal at the time, you know, and I should have worried about, I shouldn't have worried about what happens if I fail, and I should have worried a little more about what happened if I succeeded. But all I cared about was what happened if I failed. So it was always like, you know, well, what if they fire me? What do I get? Is there a severance package? Things like that. where I never thought, well, what if this thing makes millions of dollars, you know? So
Wow.
that's where I messed up.
It's so funny. We're hitting on so many issues that I think are so important, which is the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset.
Right.
So and right, I mean, in a sense, rightly so. You're married, you have a child, you have responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking, I need my paycheck.
Yep.
I need to pay for my house. I need things,
yep.
which is completely understandable. So I think, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm reading this amazing book called Mindset by, I think it's Dr. Carol Dweck. Great book, but it's so funny because I don't see you like that anymore. You're so growth mindset. And I think that's what, I mean, when I first met you in our No More Mr. Nice Guy group,
mm-hmm.
I already knew that's how you were. So I think that's pretty cool. I was very similar. I could say up till two years ago, I was still really in a fixed mindset.
Yep.
And then that totally flipped. So you're not there anymore, that's for sure. So let's just say this, that ended.
Yep.
And at some point you said, I'm going on my own. I want to do this all for myself. I need to worry about me, and I need to be in a big way, worry about me in a big way.
Yeah.
And so is that when sync grade, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So over those 10 years while I worked for Dedication, I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the company. And I neglected a lot of things that were more important than the company, because at that time, man, I saw my baby carrying on and I wanted to make money. And then, and I don't think I mentioned this in the pre-interview, but somewhere like towards the end of the company, my daughter,
mm-hmm.
who was 4 years old at the time, had cancer, neuroblastoma. So that sent me in a whirlwind. Wow. We relocated to New York. We were in Pennsylvania. We relocated to New York, got her into Sloan. I took probably a year off work. And then while that was happening, while I was fighting for my daughter's life, and thank God she's healthy and she's cancer free and she's thriving and everything's great. It really gave me a different perspective on what's important. And, it kind of changed the way I thought about things. I realized that life is short and I'm not going to spend my days making someone else rich. So when the company sold, I left. I waited in the shadows for my non-compete clause to come to finish. And then I started sync grades. So, mm-hmm.
Wow. I didn't know that. We didn't talk about your daughter and her issues with cancer. And I'm so glad she's happy and healthy right now. I mean, Beanie Sleeper came out of my experience in the hospital. No, I did not have cancer. I had other medical things, but it's interesting how those big events
yep.
have big impact.
Yep.
That you gain a lot of perspective if you're open to it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a growth mindset and you're open to a change of perspective,
yep.
I think it'll come. That's amazing. I didn't know that, Jed. That's really amazing, and thank God she's thriving.
Yeah.
And
she's
it
great.
really,
mm-hmm.
So it changed your life to where listen, my family is important. My ideas are important. I need to have my own company because I need this to grow and make lots of money. And I like this education. So sync grade. Mm-hmm. So now, were you able to port over any of the software from the other company, or did you have to start from scratch?
Yep.
Literally line by line of code you have to start over.
And it's hard. It's hard to compete against 10 years of myself, right? Because I wrote the old software for years and years and years, and now that's what I'm doing. So I intentionally wrote it in a different programming language because I didn't want any stickiness around, you copied this or whatever. So I intentionally did a different language.
So you had to learn a different language then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it's what So
it's again, amazing. Go ahead.
Yes. So I spent, a lot of my time going to Panera Bread. That's my office. I'm headed there after this. And I sit there and I put my headphones on and I just write away,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, my last company, Starbucks was my office.
Yeah, man.
I had meetings there. I was like, this is the cheapest rent in Manhattan. It cost me a cup of coffee.
It is, yep.
And it's central, and they're everywhere. Yeah.
You got it.
But it was funny because at some point they started plugging up their outlets.
Oh, wow.
Because they had people staying there literally hours.
Wow.
Right? So some of them started plugging, right? It was crazy.
Sounds like me.
Anyway, Anyway, so we start sync grade.
Yep.
And so and this is just for New York City.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, yep. Scheduler did expand outside of New York, but New York City is the largest school district in the U.S. It's where I taught. It's where my heart is. So for me, New York City is always going to be my number one.
Gotcha.
But right now, we're in talks with Dominican Republic, and I hope that happens. That would be huge for us. Rochester and upstate New York, we're talking with also. So there's other stuff, but yes, New York City is my focus. That's what I want.
That is awesome. So I love that you're expanding. What's next for you?
Man,
are you thinking? Are you basically? I mean, how far out do you think? Given that you want to be in the moment because your daughter and your family,
sure,
but you do have such a great opportunity for your business. How far out are you able to think and still feel like you're part of the real world?
Well, I mean, right now, I just want to build the foundation of the company. I think once the foundation is built and the product is out there and it's selling and there's no roadblocks, then I could lay back in the cut more and hire developers under me, let them do it and start to, because I saw that in the last company. There were people above me that did nothing and got the majority of the money. And that's the great thing about being a founder. So that's the goal, man, is to work hard now, work less tomorrow, and focus on family and the important things,
Wow. Yeah, I do know. I think that's amazing. Now my big question is, do you have any sleep rituals? Do you have any, because I always like to talk about sleep because what you're doing as a founder is high stress.
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing that. It's the money, it's the kids, it's your wife, it's the home, it's the whole deal. Do you have any sleep rituals or anything you do to help you sleep that you can share with our listening audience?
So I have two things. Nothing works better than Ambien and sex, without a doubt. That's the number one. You're asleep. But the
I should have said we might be a little blue in this. But yeah, I hear you.
It works. But the second thing is if I'm having an anxious day, I have a weighted blanket. I have my beanie sleeper. I have headphones. So I put those big Beats headphones on, the beanie sleeper on, the weighted blanket. I put a pillow under my feet.
Oh, really?
And then and then either I use the Calm app or I use this Hypnobox app that just meditates and that's it, man. That's it, and it's legit. That's what I do.
That's like full on cocoon.
Yes.
I'm like in it. That's so funny. Wow.
You got it, man.
And I'm very happy you like your beanie sleeper. Thank you so much.
Do.
I'm really glad you like it. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing for sleeping. I'm very similar. Of course, my beanie sleeper, but I listen to like raindrops. I kind of need raindrops. Jed, man, honestly, is there anything else you want to talk about? But that was amazing. I think that was amazing. Well, and I'm so grateful you came on today. And then we got to chat a little bit and learn a little bit and talk about entrepreneurship and your software. Now, I know you're a very private guy. If people want to reach out to you, how can they best?
Yeah, they totally can, and I'm fine with everything. So my handle on Instagram is Treason, if that matters. And if they wanted to get me, maybe in the notes you could put some links to how to contact
I will.
me.
So you'll send me like your email address or however you want people to reach you. Yeah. And listen, if anybody has any connections into education, please. Why can't we just connect, right? Help a brother out, right?
Thank you, man.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. I do want to, so let me give I'll do my closing now. So let me give a big shout out to Jed for the cuddle. It was nice. You have a very warm cuddle, and I appreciate that. And I also want to thank everybody for your continued support, for listening to Sleeping with Ben or watching Sleeping with Ben, for supporting Beanie Sleeper and what we're doing. If you do want to get a Beanie Sleeper for yourself or to support a family or friend, you can go to beaniesleeper.com or go into my profile, and that'll tell you how to make a purchase. But other than that, I am so grateful for all of you, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much, and have a great day, everybody. Ciao.
Thank you for having me, Ben.
All right.
Bye-bye.
My pleasure. Bye.